Everyone, Pastor Bruce with you. And as I was preparing this today for this video and thinking about this story of Jesus healing the paralytic, I was looking to the context and what was happening just before. As you see, it says on one of those days. And I thought, well, what is one of those days? And as I looked at the story up above, I thought, this is significant. There's a significant truth here that jumped out at me today because of what our country, what our world is going through. That is social distancing and quarantine. And I think of this man, this poor man, while Jesus was in one of the cities, there came a man full of leprosy, full of leprosy. Now, you probably know that people who had leprosy at that time were known as unclean. In fact, if they were approaching someone, approaching a town, they had to declare that they were unclean. And you can just imagine that as you're walking down the road saying unclean, unclean, that everyone is making their way around you, keeping their distance from you, which is exactly what we experience. If you walk around your neighborhood, people will walk out into the street to go around you. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I have a scarlet A on my shirt, or I'm saying unclean, unclean. And what I want to say is, I'm clean, I'm clean. And I want to get back to those times when we can walk by one another, when we can say hi to one another, when we can reach out our hands and shake one another's hands and give each other a hug. And the reason why this became significant to me today was because we've been in our homes now for 10 weeks, and 10 weeks without any human contact, or that physical contact, any human touch other than our family members. And I guess you don't know or don't realize how much that affects you until you actually have that human contact. Today, a friend of mine brought me something, and as I went outside to meet him, it looked like he was about to put his hand out to shake my hand. And I thought, well, I'm going to take advantage of that. And so I put my hand out to shake his hand, and he put his hand out, and we shook hands. And I just kind of made a statement that, wow, this, social distancing and everything, but we can shake hands. And this is to say nothing about anyone who wants to keep their distance. That's not the point here. The point is the significance of human touch. And in the midst of this quarantine for 10 weeks or so, that human touch today was very significant to me. But here's a man full of leprosy, and I would imagine that the experience that this man has had has not been for 10 weeks, but perhaps months and years without human touch. That is a possibility. And what do we see here? He comes to Jesus. When he saw Jesus, he fell on his face as a sign of his humility, and he begged Jesus, Lord, if you will, you can make me clean. Now notice how he speaks. He knows that Jesus can make him clean. So there is no doubt here. If you can make me clean. No. You can make me clean if you want to. And what does Jesus say? He says, I want to be clean. But as Jesus is saying those words, or even just prior to Jesus saying those words, he does something extremely significant. He reaches out to this unclean man and touches him. He puts his hand on him. This man is now experiencing human touch for the first time in who knows how long. And it is Jesus, God in the flesh, who is touching him. Look at this, verse 13. And Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him. This is radical. Jesus touched the unclean. So, whatever your experience in the past, whatever you've gone through, or whatever you're going through that makes you feel dirty, that makes you feel unclean, that makes you feel unworthy, none of that matters. You see, come to him humbly and know that he can make you clean and that he will make you clean and that in that he will touch you. He will reach out his hand and put his hand on you. Can you imagine the feeling of that poor soul bowed down at Jesus' feet, and Jesus reached down with both of his hands and puts him on his shoulders, perhaps, and maybe stands him up in front of him? And who knows, maybe gives him a hug afterwards? What an experience. I can't wait for this quarantine to be over so you and I can come together and give each other's good handshakes, good high fives, and bear hugs. I hope you're with me. I hope this encourages you today. We'll see you next time.